Michelle Obama, as you know, has got a podcast, and she's putting it to good use. I mean, she's really working through a lot of her feelings about the United States, about her husband, about her children. P.S. The answer on all three of those is she can't stand them. She hated motherhood. She can't stand her marriage, and she's not too keen on the United States of America. And there's another thing she's not too keen on, and that is being so famous. Listen to this, SOT 33.
I wanted to ask you guys earlier, like, what makes you feel alive? What makes you feel like you're present?
In the life I live, which is so abnormal now, it's like being outside. You know, I mean, I say this a lot, something that comes with fame that people don't, that they don't appreciate, they're not cautious of, is the loss of anonymity.
Yeah.
Like, it's hard for Barack and I to just be in the world unobserved.
Yeah.
And as a couple, so much of your interaction just happens because you two are experiencing the world together, sitting in a park and watching life go by, you know, stopping at a cafe and getting a cup of coffee. And then the conversation turns to the conversation next to you, right? We're always the conversation next to the people we're sitting.
No one held a gun to her head and made her run for the White House and become First Lady twice. Though you wouldn't know that to hear her talk. And on top of that, you know, like Laura Bush, she kind of went off into the sunset and never bothered anybody again. Barbara Bush.
Yes, this is my follow-up video. If you've been following this channel, you realize 1 week ago, I reacted to a video pertaining to this. Megyn Kelly did a whole segment on this. When you take a look at this, Michelle Obama has shared in interviews and her book, The Light We Carry, in 2022, about marriage challenges like period of frustrations with Barack Obama, parenting stress, and societal pressure on women. Recent clip highlight her joking about his habit like loud chewing. Critics sees this as ungrateful, while supporters view it as honest vulnerability. Sources vary for balance. Check her recent podcast. You know, I don't want to actually even go to the podcast to watch because I don't do that.
You know, I was reflecting on the racial division in our country and really where did it start? Like, when can it be pinpointed that the racial division started? You know, you see so much racial division. And I remember growing up, we really didn't talk about race like that. There was not something that was talked about even in high school. And when I got to college, it was just something that we talked about a little bit, but it wasn't really talked about, right? We were beginning as a country not to really be defined by the color of our skin. We had just elected a black president. We just wasn't there as a country. And what happened? Well, that same black president that the country trusted began to bring division in this country on a level we'd never seen before. Went after his political opponent for the first time with what he did and spying on Trump's campaign, using which it came out now. He also weighed in on stories. Usually presidents never weighed in on stories like the Trayvon Martin story that he weighed in on and made it about race when it wasn't about race. They made the guy who killed Trayvon Martin, they made him a white person when he was a Hispanic person. And so the Obama, we call him the divider in chief, and it really started with him. And then the media, when Trump got elected, went behind, did not like it at all. They didn't think he would win. And so they began to use the only thing they could to bring division and hatred among each other so that he would never get in again, to paint him as a white supremacist, which before Trump got elected, nobody thought Trump was racist. And then they began to use the media, and we began to see an uptick in terms like white supremacy, and systematic racism, and terms like that. CRT exploded, and it was all self-induced. It was all induced on purpose by the media, by the Barack Obama. He started it, And it was not Trump. Trump did not cause the division in this country. Obama caused the division in this country. He is the divider in chief of this country, and the media keeps it going. If the media would stop talking about race every day, all day, the country would begin to heal. But they refuse to do that because they can't control. See, when they talk about race, it controls the emotions of Black Americans because Black Americans are very emotional based off what they've been through in the past with slavery and things like that.
There is a comment I came across under this video, and this was very important. When you take a look at this, Michelle Obama poisoned her husband through years of corrosive nightly pillow talk. Her racist counsel to ignore the white part of his nature, her decision to have her mother live with them, and the constant presence of Valerie in familiar setting significantly emasculated Barack. Those three women markedly diminish his ability to address racial wounds in our country. His unique origins would have allowed him to do. Sadly, those women destructive labels continue to negatively affect our nation to this day. You know, for some time, a lot of people are saying, like, Obama is the cause of what we are witnessing today, this division. And when you bring this up, people always struggle to counteract this. But from my observation, this actually aligns with the views of a lot of people, especially in the conservative movement.
And then the conversation turns to the conversation next to you, right? We're always the conversation next to the people we're sitting.
Oh my God, Charles. So no one had and made her run for the White House and become First Lady twice, though you wouldn't know that to hear her talk. And on top of that, you know, like Laura Bush, she kind of went off into the sunset and never bothered anybody again. Barbara Bush certainly did that. Hillary Clinton didn't. But Michelle Obama decided to launch a podcast where she talks about herself incessantly. That there's the woman she had on who was questioning her was a relationship therapist talking all about Michelle's relationship with Barack. Again, P.S. Spoiler, she can't stand him. She looks at him across the dinner table and wants to smack him because she cannot stand the way he chews. The contempt is oozing out of her whenever she speaks of her husband. And answering questions like, what makes you feel alive? Like you're present. I mean, it was like listening to an episode of the Charles C.W. Cook podcast. I hear you do this all the time. And so she goes out there. She wants people subscribing. She does a huge promotional tour. Come listen to my podcast. And then she's got the nerve to go out there and cry about how famous she is. And people are always talking about her, Charles.
Yeah, some people say this woman is upset that nobody gives a crap about her. That is why she's doing a podcast to talk about herself. If you notice, since the day Michelle launched this podcast, everything surrounding is to talk about herself and complaints. This has actually triggered a lot of people to notice this on the internet, and I'm glad that they are calling this out. This is not the first time Michelle is doing this. Every single time she likes to complain this, that, and I begin to question, like, why would she do this? You have been the first lady. There are other first ladies we don't even hear of. Some are on social media. They don't do this every time. Last time she talked about Barack Obama chewing habit. A lot of people saw that like that's ungratefulness. Why will you do this? Why will you even say this?
My team informed me that there's more and that we needed to play. And I think it's up.
The way you're chewing makes me want to smack you upside the head.
That's why guys don't want to have
shoes.
So the girls too. Everyone hates him at the table. This poor man sits down every night to nothing but contempt.
I want to appreciate people supporting, sharing out my videos. God bless you abundantly. As of the short clips you see, please. It's for YT algorithm.
JD Vance should be the next president of the United States. If you want to serve in the American
give interviews, I don't do them.
JD Vance should be the next president of the United States.
Happening at the moment.
Yeah. President Obama
is blatant censorship.
Because he says he has a team of fact checkers.
The FCC.
I want them to stop fooling around with my right to say what I feel.
Well, Americans, it's a part of who we are.
Because that is really something that didn't happen before.
Does anybody else watch The View? Because I think there's...
I'm going to say one.
Look, there are certain rules of free speech that we must all abide by. But in case anyone needs a refresher, we're going to go over the rules again.
He does not have a right to have a television show where he lies his ass off to the American people.
Well, there are repercussions to spreading lies.
Somebody to get up there, not
all the same people that are in these polite...
Disagree with what Gavin Newsom said, that he doesn't...
Dave Chappelle, he's not wrong about that. 6-year-olds that watch C-SPAN.